Hi, everybody. In this short video, I want to introduce the idea of persistence, and let me explain that a bit. So, HTML by default is considered a stateless protocol. That means that the server doesn't remember any previous interactions it had with the browser, kind of by default. Let's just keep that in mind that so far what we've been writing, the server doesn't remember what's been happening in the browser. So, for example, consider the login feature. We implemented the server side of that, and that looked like this. So a user logs in, uses that bit of code that we implemented, and then the next thing the user wants to do is search for campgrounds. Now, as soon as the server processes this, it doesn't remember that the person was logged in or not. Again, this is by default. We have to do something special to maintain that idea of persistence, of some memory that the server will have for that user, that, oh, I know this user, she just logged in and she wants information about campgrounds in this particular area, or campgrounds that fit her particular RV, or things like that. So the solution is that we need to maintain some idea of a session or some idea of a memory, and either we're going to do this on the server side, so the server remembers this person was logged in and has information about her, or what was in the shopping cart, things along those lines, or it's going to be handled on the client side, that the client itself will remember information about that client. And there's really many ways of maintaining this session. If you kind of do some Googling about sessions, you'll find a myriad of ways to maintain session either on the server side or on the client side. And also there's a lot of ways of doing user authentication, a lot of kind of brilliant solutions and libraries that people built to do user authentication. We're going to be starting our exploration of this concept of sessions with just something really simple, and that is cookies. Now, most of the time, there's going to be a better, more secure, just a more sensible way of maintaining session. But the reason we're starting with cookies is that they're simple. They're really easy to understand and implement in just a few minutes. You'll get the basic concept and be able to use them to do sort of rudimentary things about maintaining state. For example, suppose a person logs in, we get some information about how big their RV is. It's a 35-foot bus. And maybe we can use that information when we do a select statement. When the user's looking for campgrounds, we can remember that it's 35 feet long and just show that user campgrounds that meet that requirement that it can hold such a large RV. So that's a pretty simple thing of just maintaining a memory of what, the information about either the size of the RV, or maybe we'll want to remember the person's name or things along those lines. So cookies. So what cookies are is they let us store some user information right within the web page in a person's browser. So they're data, they're stored in small text files in a user's browser. So keep in mind that this is kind of the state within the browser side, not on the server side. And they were invented to solve the problem of how to remember information about a user. So when a user visits a web page, we can remember their name and store it in a cookie. And the next time the user visits that page, or maybe a different page on the website, we can remember what that name was. So as the person's moving around on the website from page to page, we can keep track of who that user is. And they're saved just like in a lot of other things in JavaScript as key value pairs. For example, we can remember screen name is Emily. That's the basic idea of a cookie. We're going to use this library, this node module called JS Cookie. It's going to be running in the next part of our code, not on the server side. And the three main things we're going to be using are the set method, which we set a key to a particular value. And I give an example there. We can set the screen name to be whatever the screen name of who logged in. We can get the value of that key, and we can remove that key. So those are the three things I'd like to demo. So let's get started with the code. So here's my login page, and let's just take a look at what we render on that page. So we're rendering in this layout just a input field username, which is of type text, and then I have this handle user update, which I'm not going to go into. It's just exactly like we did before with these handle updates. So they're nothing new. So that's the username. And then the password field is of type password. So the difference between a text field and a password field is you get those little dots in a password field. You don't see what the person's typing, right? So let me just show you that on the web page. So I have this login register, and I can type in a username and then just some sort of password. And you see that password isn't appearing. It's just these little dots like we normally see. So that's the rendering part of this page, just those fields and the regular handle search kind of submit button that we have. So what's interesting here then is this handle search, what we're going to do with handle search. And as you can see, we get the login, so we're getting some information. We're using this get login feature. It's just exactly or pretty similar to that, the search method we used before. So we have it in our API, or the utils.js function. It just sends the information to the server and gets some information back from that server. So if it returns something, we're going to say logged in user is successful. We're going to set a cookie. So here's this line 31 is kind of the interesting line here. So we're going to set this cookie screen name, and what the server gave us back was a screen name. So we're going to save that information. Let's say the server could have also sent us back how big the RV was, so we can change when we do a select statement, we can send that information off to the server again. But in this case, I'm just illustrating with a simple screen name. And this router replace just simply displays the search page rather than staying on this page. So let's see how this works. So here I typed in my username and password, I hit submit, and it takes me to that search page. And as you can see here, it remembered that it was Emily, something that would have been tricky to do without cookies or some other mechanism that would help us store this session. One thing I failed to mention up here is that we needed to import that node module, and here I did it up here, import JS cookie from JS-cookie. So that's the minimal changes I made to my little login page. Now, how did I display Emily up here, and how did I display logout rather than, it used to say login register? For that, we altered the header page. So here again, I imported the JS cookie from JS cookie. And here on line 20, I have this conditional. If there is a cookie named screen name, I'm going to display logout, else I'm going to display login. So that's the conditional use. And here, this JS cookie get screen name is where I'm displaying that screen name. So you can see there's very minimal changes here to this code to do that conditional, that if a person's logged in, show the word logout. And if there's no person logged in, show the word login or show the link login, right? So let me just display that. So I'll log out here, and I get login register. I log in register. I'm going to log in as M again. And notice that the username and screen name are different. The username is M and the screen name is Emily. And we get that logout and Emily. How did we do that? I just showed you that we have this conditional statement here. If there is a cookie named screen name, we show logout. Else, we do this login feature. And here, jscookie.gets is screen name. So that's there. And finally, what does the logout JavaScript page look like? All right, let me show you that. So here's the logout. Again, I import JS cookie. In the constructor function of logout, I am removing that cookie, right? So now there will no longer be a cookie named screen name. So I'm kind of deleting screen name Emily from our cookie set. So that's here. And the only other thing I did was I wanted to move from this logout page, because it's not a page I really want to display, to the search page. So here I do the router replace in a method called component did mount. Component did mount executes as soon as you render the page. So you render the page, and then component did mount executes. So again, what I do here is I remove the cookie. I render this page that just says hi, that we'll never see. It could have been something else, pretty simple. And after I render that page, I run component did mount. And what component did mount is it moves us to the search page. So those are the only changes I made to handle cookies. So let me just show you that again. I'm going to log out. Remember, we don't see that hi because it automatically redirected us to the search page. I'm going to log in. I'm here. I have a log out in Emily. So I'm going to log in as M. I can log out and log. So I've kind of shown you the basics, and you can think of if that when I log in, so here I set a cookie for screen name. I could have also set a cookie for RV length. And then later when I do a query, I can send that RV length off to the server. So that was it. I just wanted to show you one method for having some idea of persistence or maintaining information between pages and having the server understand, have some continuity with this particular user. And we're doing that very simply with cookies. So I hope this very short video was helpful. Again, if you're really maintaining sessions, like a bunch of information, if you really need authentication, cookies are probably not the way to go, but for something as simple as this, they're just excellent because they're just so simple to use. So that's it. Take care. I hope this was helpful. Good luck with cookies. Bye.